What's up, YouTube? And I'm back at you with another video. And in this video, I'm going to give my preview and prediction of the Georgia versus Texas matchup. Uh, this is going to be exciting. You got two top 10 teams playing against each other, and it's going to be very interesting. Georgia's going on the road, to play against Texas. Uh, Big matchup. Texas getting a lot of praise. Really good offensive team. Steve Sarkisian is leading that team in a good direction. Uh, Great overall team, offensively and defensively. Just overall, just really, really good team. You have the Georgia Bulldogs. People look at them as the premier team in college football right now. Um, Went back to back. Everybody's basically saying that they're the team. Since Nick Saban retired, Kirby Smart is considered that top guy. But the Bulldogs, this season had some struggles. Uh, Only loss that they have is against Alabama, but still a really, really good team. And I'm gonna give my preview and prediction. Give my thoughts on the game. I'm gonna just start off with the stats. I'm gonna start off with the Texas Longhorns. Like I said, getting a lot of praise. Uh, Two good quarterbacks, Quinn Ewers. So far, he's thrown for 890 yards. He has a completion percentage of 72.2. He has 9 total touchdowns with 3 interceptions. Really, really good player, man. Just recently came back for the Longhorns. Was dealing with I believe it was not an oblique, but some type of injury. I think it was like in the stomach or something like that, but I could be wrong about that. But he was dealing with an injury, came back, looked really, really good, in their matchup against Oklahoma Sooners, rivalry matchup. I threw a pick that first drive, I believe, but was able to settle down and definitely a guy that's uh, warranted as a really, really good quarterback. Uh, in my opinion, sometimes he doesn't, always hit the downfield passes. I feel like that's something that he can get better at, but right now he's playing at a very, very high level. And it's going to be a problem for this Georgia defense. And they also have Arch Manning as well, uh, highly touted quarterback. Of course, he's a Manning, so uh, he's living up to that billing. He has a really, really good arm. Can do it all, man. Really, really highly rated quarterback. He has 901 yards so far. That's insane. He only has a couple of snaps, so really, really good quarterback. He's actually thrown more, just slightly more than Quinn Ewers. His completion percentage is 70.5. He has 9 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. So, like I said, just that fast, he's already caught up to with the production of Quinn Ewers. So, uh, Kirby Smart said he's preparing for both quarterbacks, and rightly so because this Texas offense is playing at a very, very high level. Steve Sarkisian is one of the best offensive minds in college football. And he has these guys rolling offensively. Running back for Texas, they have Quintrevian Weisner. I might be pronouncing his last name wrong. He has 278 yards on the ground. He has 2 touchdowns, and he's averaging 6.2 yards a carry. They also have Jaden Blue, 268 yards rushing with. He's averaging 4.4 yards a carry. And he has 4 touchdowns. And they also got Jared Gibson, who has 227 yards rushing with 3 touchdowns. So they have a lot of good running backs. They was dealing with some injuries early on, but Weisner has stepped up for them, and he's doing a heck of a job. Uh, and they also get some of their wide receivers involved too. Former Alabama wide receiver Isaiah Bunn, he has 51 yards on the ground with a touchdown. So very dynamic offense. Georgia is going to have to cover all layers of the defense, to play against this Texas Longhorn offense, man. Really, really good team overall. Isaiah Bunn, he's the leading guy in the wide receiver room with 369 yards. He has 3 touchdowns. Um, Really dynamic player. We all saw him last season. He gave Georgia problems in the SEC championship last year when he was with Alabama. So Georgia's already knows about this guy, and he's a tough guy to handle. Second in receiving is Gunnar Helm, tight end. He has 311 yards receiving with 2 touchdowns. They also have Ryan Wingo. He has 296 yards receiving with 2 touchdowns. I mean, I can go down this list, man. It's a lot of players on this Texas Longhorns team that's contributed to this offense. Matthew Golden, 246, 3 touchdowns. DeAndre Moore Jr., he has 152 yards receiving with 3 touchdowns. I mean, I can go down the list, guys. Jaden Blue, he has 2 touchdowns receiving. He has 105 yards. So that goes to show you Steve Sarkisian utilizes his wide receivers and running backs, in the passing game. And also, they're really, really good at running the ball as well. So Georgia's defense is going to have their hands full. Um, Texas is going to stretch them out. And Steve Sarkisian is very, very good at lulling a defense to sleep. He'll keep doing the same thing over and over and over again to set you up later on in the game. So Georgia's going to have to play sound defense in this matchup. And defensively for Texas, Anthony Hill Jr., he's the leading tackler with 42 total tackles. Um, he's a beast of a player. Like, they got a lot of different guys on this team, man. Simmons, Jalen Gilbo. I mean, a lot of good guys on this defense, man. Malik Muhammad, really, really good player. Um, these guys, man, they're just flying all over the field, man. Defensively, they have, let me see, 114 sack yards. They have 19 total sacks. I mean, they're very, very productive. 18 passes defended, 7 interceptions. I mean, uh, just overall, really, really good team, man. And they're playing at a very, very high level. It's going to be interesting, though. They haven't played anybody up until this point that's like a Georgia that can beat you offensively and defensively. So Texas is going to have their hands full as well against this Georgia team. And speaking of that, I'm going to just go ahead and read Georgia stats. Carson Beck so far has thrown for 1,818 yards. He has a completion percentage of 67.9, so 68 completion percentage, which is really good. 15 touchdowns with 5 interceptions. He has some issues. He's thrown a couple of picks here and there, but who hasn't in college football? I mean, it's very select few guys that haven't uh, thrown interceptions, and I contribute that to competition as well. Not knocking it, but SEC has tough competition each and every week, so it's tough to play in the SEC. But Carson Beck, man, when he's on, he's on. He made some really, really good plays in that second half against Alabama, and that was, in my opinion, the most talented team they played against. He threw a couple of picks in that matchup, but he rallied that team back and almost came back to win the matchup. So Carson Beck has a high ceiling, man. If he can play on the road and not get rattled, man, he's going to give Texas defense some problems. And I feel like Texas' weakness is on the back end of that defense. So Carson Beck has the ability to generate plays as well. Um, Running backs, Trevor Etienne, he has 335 yards. He's averaging 5.3 yards a carry. He has 4 touchdowns. Georgia's run game, in my opinion, hasn't been elite uh, like the ones in the past. They got to be able to run the ball, and they started to get some traction with Trevor Etienne. He kind of started off slow when the season started, but you can see that Georgia's starting to settle down offensively. And they're going to give Texas Longhorns defense a challenge, especially Trevor Etienne. Nate Frazier, he has 194 yards rushing. He's averaging 5.2, so identical to Trevor Etienne. He only has 1 touchdown this season. I would like to see him get the ball more. Um, he's a really, really good running back in my opinion. And they also have Branson Robinson. Hasn't performed up to the level that I would like to see. He has 73 yards rushing, but he does have 3 touchdowns. So I'm expecting Georgia to get those running backs involved, man. Georgia loves to slow the game down. They try to out physic you up front. That's Kirby Smart's game. Play sound defense and run the ball. And they definitely have the players to do it. And I expect, Georgia to implement that game plan in this matchup on the road against Texas. Wide receiver, they have Arian Smith, a speedster. This guy's a beast of a player. He has 412 yards receiving with 3 touchdowns. You have Dominic Lovett. He has 302 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. Dylan Bell, 298, 4 touchdowns. Um, Kobe Young, another guy, 149 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. Lawson Lucky, tight end, 144 yards, 3 touchdowns. And London Humphrey. Keep an eye on this guy. He doesn't have as much production as the other guys. He has 128 yards receiving with 1 touchdown. This guy's a speed throughout the backfield, though, man. Alabama was lucky that this guy wasn't playing in their matchup because I think he would have gave Alabama's defense problems. And of course, they got Oscar Delp, tight end, stepped in last season for Brock Bowers. Same size, big guy. Uh, I expect them to get him involved as well, to give the Texas Longhorns defense a different look as well, to utilize the tight end. So, uh, and I'm looking at these stats, man. Georgia under Carson Beck has passed the ball a lot. I mean, really, really, a lot of passing yards, and that's different. Georgia normally plays, like the lineup from run the ball down your throat, but under Carson Beck this season, they have really, really passed the ball a lot. So that's different. Georgia normally doesn't play like that, but Carson Beck is slinging the ball around. So this is going to be a good matchup, I feel, man. Texas better be ready for the passing game because, Georgia's coming with a different type of play style offensively. Defensively, Malachi Starks, beast of a player. He's leading the team with 32 total tackles. He has an interception on the season. I mean, Jalen Walker, another guy. He has 1.5 sacks. Smell Monday. I mean, the list goes on with all these defensive guys on Georgia's team, man. Nazir Stackhouse. I mean, the list goes on. Dan Jackson, he has an interception. Defensively, Georgia is not, where they were a couple of years ago. You can kind of see just a slight, step back, but don't get it twisted. This is still Kirby Smart's team, and I feel like he's going to have his defense ready for this matchup, man. He got into it, boy, with uh, their defensive coordinator, Glenn Schumann, on the sidelines. A lot of people give him Kirby Smart, uh, a lot of hate because they saw him push the Mississippi State. Van Burden, quarterback from Mississippi State, but in my opinion, he was just, mad at Glenn Schumann, uh, play calling and how he got the guys aligned and stuff like that. But trust me when I tell you, Kirby Smart is going to have his team ready, man. He knows how important this game is going to be, and it's important for both teams. Uh, Texas doesn't have a loss; they're undefeated right now, and Georgia has a loss against Alabama. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. I'm looking at the line for this matchup, and right now it's seeing different things. I'm seeing -5 here for Texas. Um, I could be wrong about that. It's different lines, but this is going to be played in Austin, Texas. So, like I said, Georgia's going on the road. It's this night game. Starts at 6:30. If I had to give my prediction for this matchup, um, this was a tough one to pick, guys. I can literally see a scenario where both of these teams win. I mean, it's a high stakes game. You got the number 1 Texas Longhorns versus the number 5 Georgia Bulldogs. I feel like whoever, well, this is cliche, but whoever plays a cleaner game is going to win this matchup. I'm going to go with the Georgia Bulldogs. And my reason behind it is, like I said, Georgia has been here. they've been in high state games like this. I'm not saying Texas hasn't. Texas played some really, really marquee games. I feel like Georgia has went through more tougher teams to this point. They played against a Clemson team who we thought at first was a really, really good team. Clemson is playing at a very, very high level right now. They're putting up a lot of points. Georgia beat that team. Georgia has faced adversity this season. Texas, for the most part, has just cruised by, hasn't really played anybody that's elite. A lot of people say, well, they beat Michigan. Michigan is not that good this season, in my opinion. They're not the team from the previous year. In my opinion, Texas hasn't played a really, really good team, both offensively and defensively, if that makes sense. Oklahoma had a really, really good defense, but Oklahoma is bad offensively, and you can tell they fired the trail and stuff like that. So to me, Texas hasn't played a really, really good offensive team, and a team that's offensively good and defensively. They kind of Mississippi State gave both of these teams a game. They really gave Georgia more of a game than Texas, but I'm basing it off of that. Georgia faced Alabama. They lost, but the way they was able to come back in that second half, that can't be overlooked. Georgia has the ability to put up points, and they have the ability to make adjustments, like really, really good adjustments. That's why I said it's hard to pick this matchup, man, because both teams have the ability to make adjustments. But I just feel like Kirby Smart going to have Georgia ready, man. They understand, if they lose this matchup, that's going to be 2 losses, and the road gets harder. I feel like even if Georgia were to get a second loss, I still feel like Georgia will be in the mix in the playoffs. Now, if they get 3, then that's going to be a problem. But with that being said, Georgia still has to go on the road later on to play against Ole Miss. I know a lot of people are down on Ole Miss, but it's still hard to play in the SEC each Saturday and go on the road. I feel like Kirby Smart's going to have Georgia ready. And I feel like they're going to play their best game yet. Texas is going to play their best game as well. And it's hard to pick this matchup, guys, because one part of me was thinking Texas could win this matchup easily, man. But I think Georgia's going to be ready, man. I just think they had more adversity this season, and they're more prepared to go against a big high stakes matchup. They have the history. They've done it. Texas is just not getting to this point. This is Texas' first year in the SEC, and granted, they're doing a good job, but I think Georgia's going to be prepared. But what do you guys think? Am I wrong? You guys let me know in the comment section. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And I'll definitely be back with more college football content. Thanks, guys, and roll tide.